In the final days of the fact-finding mission of the Forum of Parliaments of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, they met several leaders from the Ministry of Defense, Foreign Affairs, and also National Unity and Civic Engagement. One of the major issues that stood out was the fact that the former genocide fighters who were part of the army serving in the former regime of the late President Habyarimana ran to Eastern DRC, and they were given refuge close to the border with Rwanda. And that has been a challenge because they turned into FDLR rebels, or the militia that has been killing especially the Tutsi who are living inside Congo.
What we learned is that these people were given sanctuary initially as refugees. But unfortunately, even as refugees, they were given a sanctuary near the border as refugees, and also later they turned out to be armed forces. And under international law, giving such negative forces a place to stay, people who have run away and are armed, is not even supposed to be near the border. It's supposed to be some over 150 kilometers away from the border, which is not the case. And I think that is one of the concerns of the government that is raising. And that issue needs to be handled. One of the ways in which it can be handled is through concerted effort, whereby we could have, for instance, regional forces that could act as a buffer zone in between.
The Rwandan government also complains that the FDLR, who are close to their border, have been carrying out attacks inside Rwanda since 2000. And this is because basically when they fled to Eastern DRC, they were not demobilized and they remained with their arms. And since that time, they have always remained a big threat to the sitting government.
All those are issues that need to be handled. And there was a mechanism that they put in place, the Rwanda mechanism, led by the president of Angola, which is supposed to handle the differences between the two countries. Because they are attacking, they are crossing over because of the differences. So that mechanism has to be supported so that those issues are discussed, and then in the interim, probably look for ways of relocating those forces very far, and also making sure that as a long-term measure, they are disarmed and repatriated.
Kigali regime is also complaining about the foreign forces who they allege that have been backing the FDLR rebels, or the militia that are fighting against the Rwandan government, plus also targeting some of the Tutsi communities that are living inside Congo.
As a mission, we took note of it, and we're going to try to interrogate and find out what happens, because either side there are complaints. In Rwanda, of course, there's that general feeling that the international community is not for them. Yet at the same time, when you go to DRC, they're also complaining about MONUSCO, which is part of the UN, which is also the international community. So it's something that is subject to further interrogation, and definitely once we have done that, we shall come up with a report that will make sure that it calls upon the international community to be neutral in its operation. But as I said, now as it is an allegation that is being labeled by both sides.
The Rwandan government has an open door policy to allow the former fighters or the rebels who are fighting inside DRC to come to Rwanda or surrender their weapons. And then later on, they are reintegrated in their communities and also given something to do in terms of livelihood. This is supposed to be serving as an example to the rest that a rebellion is not the only way of survival. Sudhir Byaruhanga, NTV, Kigali.